Hello and welcome to this Autodesk Revit tutorial. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to create a simple floor plan in Autodesk Revit. So I do have a reference floor plan here that we're going to be working with. It's really easy to follow. So you can also see the dimensions in the floor plan. So in this video, we're going to see how we can recreate all of that in Revit. If you're new to Revit, or you're an architect, or you're a civil engineer coming from a different software into Autodesk Revit, this is the basic tutorial for you to actually help you get started and learn the ropes about how Autodesk Revit works. Now, to get started, you need to understand that Autodesk Revit has two model spaces. The first is where you design models or where you model your building, and then the second is the families workspace where you go ahead and design individual components inside of Revit. So we're going to go for the model space, and I'm going to use the metric and multidiscipline particular template. You can go ahead and choose other templates in Autodesk Revit if you want. Just go ahead and click browse. It's going to take you to where your Revit actually stores all of that templates. You can see mechanical and precast, structural as well, systems, UK piping templates, commercial templates, all of those stuff. You can find them here. I'm going to use the multidiscipline, which is going to combine all of them, but we're going to use the metric unit to actually do this because our floor plan is designed in metric dimensions. So now that Revit has loaded, we can see the workspace, and there's a lot of tools. I know it looks overwhelming at first, but don't you worry. We're going to try to get through as many tools as possible in this particular exercise, and the reason why I'm using this floor plan is to actually help us see how Revit works and how you can use each of these tools in real time. I think that is the best way to actually go about learning a software. So let's just get started. Just a basic crash course of everything. Just at the top here, you're going to see the menu bar, which has the file menu, and inside the file menu, you can choose to start a new project, choose to open an old project, choose to save your file, or save your file with a different file name. You can also export to other computer-aided design formats inside of Revit, and you can also choose to print and of course close Revit. There's also the options menu inside of the file menu where you can go ahead and select your user interface, how you want it to look. In case I wanted to change my Revit from the light mode that we see here to the darker Autodesk Revit, you can do that in the graphics. Okay, not in graphics. You can do that in the color, and you can change the system setting to actually go dark and go ahead and click OK. Revit is actually going to switch to a dark mode, and I normally prefer the white mode. And for the sake of this video and for users that are new to Revit, I'm going to actually go back to the light mode that we're sort of used to. So let's go back in there and use the system setting, I guess, and then it's going to take us back to normal. But yeah, you can find all of the settings in there. And for the architecture tab, this is the default Revit initial menu. So you can find your walls and windows and doors and components and all those other elements that you need. Structural columns. Okay, these are architectural columns. In the structure tab, you will see a different kind of column, which is a structural column. You're also going to see walls and beams. These walls are structural walls. In the steel menu, you can see steel connections and wheels and bolts and all other steel elements that you need for steel design. You also have a precast tab where you can work on precast models in Autodesk Revit. There's a systems menu as well. This is usually for MEP, and I'm a civil engineer. I'm not a mechanical engineer, but we do have to have an idea of everything, right, as an engineer. But you can find all your systems in here, mechanical systems. You can also see the insert tab, which is very important. And one of the first tasks that we're going to do is actually going to come in this insert tab. In case I want to bring in that image of the floor plan inside of Revit, I can go ahead and say link image and then click on that option and then go about finding where I saved my file. I think it's somewhere in the desktop, but I can just, okay, maybe it's not on the desktop. So let me just go through my users and for pictures, and then we're going to see floor plan with dimensions. Okay, there we go. Just go ahead and click open. And once it's inside, you can actually paste the floor plan wherever you want and then have that go in there. So you can use this as a reference. I'm actually going to move this floor plan to the corner here because I'm not going to follow the scaling of that floor plan. You can see that some of it is 2 meters, some of them is 1.8, and inside of Revit it's going to be slightly different. So we're going to have to model our building based on the floor plan that we just inserted. So what I wanted to show you was how to insert an image into Revit, and then we can go about creating our floor plan. So there's a basic shape of the building. There's a small balcony here. The kitchen and living room area is over here. The bathroom and the utility room is here, and then you have the bedroom. So what I like to do is to create the basic shape of the building. We're going to go back to the architecture tab, and in the architecture tab, before we go ahead and click the first wall, you can see there's a properties panel here. This properties panel shows you the, like the name implies, the properties of everything that is actually selected. Right now we are in the level 1 of architecture plan, so it shows us the properties of that architecture floor plan. If we were to switch to L2 architecture plan, it's going to show us the properties of architecture plan 2. If I go back to level 1 and then select the image, the properties panel is going to show me the properties of the image that I just selected. So now that we have our building, we can just start drawing the elements, and then we can choose a wall now in Revit, and you can see the properties panel start to show us the properties of a wall. And once you get into the workspace, the Revit mouse changes to a crosshair, and then you can choose from the draw panel here in the modify place wall menu that actually pops up when you select a wall. You can see the line. You can choose to draw the wall by a rectangle. You can also choose to draw by other shapes using inscribed polygons or circumscribed polygons, and of course circle as well. But we need a basic rectangle, so I'm just going to use this and click a basic rectangle to draw the building. Now you can see that this building, if I select this, it gives us the dimension. This is 12,800, but that is way bigger than what this is. So this building is going to look like this. So it's going to be a lot smaller than this. But we needed to have the basic shape put in place, and then we can change the dimensions of the building. That's how I prefer to do it inside of Revit. So now that we have our basic shape, I'm going to draw the internal wall now. I'm just going to select the wall tool again, but this time I'm going to choose the 150mm wall, and I'm going to go into the building, try to follow what I see here. Maybe somewhere here like this, just draw it down. And then in the middle, we're going to draw another one here and draw another one here. Now that we have that in place, we can start modifying the dimensions. So the dimension of this bedroom is 3.61 by 2.88. So we know that from here, we're supposed to have 306 or 3,610 and 3,610 by 2.88. So you can select this other wall and change the dimension here to 880. So that is the size of that bedroom. So we're going to just scale everybody else down. We can see that 1.20 is the size of the hallway, but the area is 3.9 meters square, not the length. So we can then scroll and change this to 1.2. That's the distance between this wall and this wall is 1.2. So our building is getting smaller now to try and match the building that we have over there. And then the next one is 2.83. So we're going to select this wall and change that dimension to 2830 and scale it down. So our building is really coming down now. And the first wall we have here is 5.440. We can go ahead and click this wall and change this from 15 to 5.410. Hold on, I hope I got that correctly. Okay, there we go. So that is the building 544, not 541. So select this 5440. So that is the dimension of that building. We have the basic shape of the building now. And another trick you can learn in Revit is how to cut an element. Now we have this wall, but you can see that over here on the floor plan, there's a space. So the wall doesn't end there. What you can do in this situation is to go to the modify tab and then go over to the tool here that says split element, or you can press SL on the keyboard. Select split element and then just go down and split this wall in half. And then you can click the modify tool and then zoom in really well. Currently I'm using thick lines for my walls, so you can see the defined shape of the wall. So I'm just going to select this one, and we're going to use a trim and extend tool like we do in AutoCAD. It's really similar. You can see the tool here, trim and extend to a corner. I'm just going to select that option and then click the first wall that I want to trim and trim the corner of the wall, and then we have this part. We're going to use the second trim and extend tool for this one as well, and then we have our space the way it's supposed to be. Now we want to split this utility room into two. So before we do that, I'm going to move everything from this building, so bring it a lot closer to this one so we don't have to zoom all the time. So in Revit, there are two ways you can actually select an item. So I can click the mouse and drag it towards the right hand side. That's going to create a square that is straight, not dotted. I'll explain much later. So once you click this square over any element, it doesn't select anything. That's because you have to select the entire element for it to become selected. So once I click this and drag all the way like this, once everything is selected in a whole, it becomes selected. But if you touch anything that is not fully selected, it will not be selected. So we need to select everything. So what we're going to do now is to click the mouse from the right hand side towards the left. And when you do that, you're going to get a square that is dotted. And this square that is dotted, anything it touches becomes a selection. So if I go about selecting these two, you can see whatever it touches, it doesn't even have to be a complete selection. It is going to add it to the list. So I'm going to use this and select the entire building. Make sure that everybody that is selected. And then I'm going to head over to the move tool, or you can press MV on the keyboard, select the move tool, and I'm going to click somewhere at the corner of this building, and I'm going to move it a lot closer to this one, and I'm going to move everybody nearer. So we have, I can also select my image. We have this guy closer now. I'm going to bring this one also closer because I need to look at them side by side and not have to zoom all the time. So now that we have that in place, the next thing we want to do is to divide this room into two. So my utility room is 4.2 meters square, but this one is 1.98 meters from the first wall. So we're going to select a wall again, this time still the 150 generic wall. I'm just going to pick anywhere at all and just select it. Then we're going to change the dimension manually. So I can select this and change this dimension to 1980. So we now have that utility room and bathroom created. So the next thing we need to do now is to create the balcony outside. But the balcony is going to be a half wall and not a full wall the way it's supposed to be. So in order to do that, we're going to have to look at the building in 3D first. So I can go to this above the annotate menu. You can see a house is written default 3D. Go ahead and click that option. It is going to take us to the building in 3D. So this is what the building looks like. And if I select this wall and go back to the properties panel, you're going to see that the wall is unconnected with a height of 6,000 meters. That's 6,000 millimeters, sorry, so that's 6 meters. We can actually change the height of this wall. So before we go about creating our half wall, we're going to go into the elevation of this building, and you can find the elevation on the project browser on the right. So as long as we have our floor plans, we can also see the floor plans for the site plan, the ceiling plans, and you can see the elevation here. So I'm just going to click the drop down for the elevation. You can see the north, west. So I'm just going to click one of the elevations, I think the east elevation. And as we're inside the elevation, you can see the level 2 and level 1 floor plan that we saw before. This is where the cut plane is. So this is what the floor plan is actually showing us. I'm going to change the height of this building to about 3,250. That's where the top is going to be. The level 1 can be here as a floor plan. So you can just select one of these elements, double click on them, and then you can change the name. So I'm going to change this one to 02 lintel. And considering that I'm going to make this 3,000 instead of the value that was there before. So we can call this 01 down or ground floor. You can also create your own levels, and you can select one. What you can do is to go to the architecture tab, and then you can see once you're inside an elevation view, you can have the level and the grid. If I was just in the floor plan like this, level 1 architecture, the level option is not going to come up. So you have to be inside the elevation to have the level come up. So I can select this level and then choose somewhere here, and then just click and drag your mouse all the way to the end. So that creates for us a new level. So you can click the modify tab to actually let go. You notice that there's no name for this one on this side, but there's a small checkbox over here. We can click that checkbox. If the name doesn't pop up, you can see that the properties panel shows us we have a level, but there is no head for that level. So you can select this option and choose 8mm head. That gives us what we have here. You can also choose architecture 8mm head with symbols at both ends. So that's also a different style that you can use. What is the style that these other guys are using? They're using the level 8mm head. So let's just match that already. 8mm head level. So everybody's the same now. What I'm going to call this is the 03 ceiling. So that means I'm going to change my lintel now to 2100 because that's where I want the door to be. And for the ceiling can be 3000 here. So now we have our levels selected. That's how you go about creating levels in Revit. Each of these levels will also have their own floor plan, but I'm going to show you how to do that very soon. And you notice that there is a clash with the way the lettering is here. You can actually move things around. So if I select the lintel and I wanted to move it, I can just click this zigzag line over here. It's going to push the lintel down a bit, and I can click this option and drag it this way, and also click this one and move it this way. Just having the lintels labeled down means that you can actually see things better, and the line is still going to stay the same. So that's how you can go about moving those elements like that. I can also choose to move this up a bit. I can choose to move the lintel up or down and just move it away from this other one. So for this one, I'm going to actually break the ceiling and then move the ceiling up away from the lintel. Then I can move the lintel to a normal line like this. So I think this is better. I think there's a better option to move the ceiling to the right. So it looks neater now. So you notice that the walls are above, and that's not where we want them to stop. I would like the wall to stop at the ceiling for now. So I'm going to go back to 3D. What you want to do is to select the entire wall, all the walls in the building. So I'm going to use the tab key. You can press the tab key on the keyboard. So first of all, take your mouse to the wall that you want to select. Let's say this external wall. Then press the tab key. Once you press that, it's going to select all the connecting walls to that wall. So once I select that wall, I can now change the top constraint of that wall and move it from the unconnected height to the ceiling height. And then take my mouse away. It's going to just do it like this and bring everything down. You can also click apply on the properties panel, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So the same thing with these internal walls. I'm just going to press tab key again, going to select the connecting wall, and then over here change the unconnected height to ceiling, and then below we can go ahead and click apply, and it's going to apply. Same thing here. We're going to select this wall and select all the connecting walls. In case all the walls don't select, you can hold your CTRL key. You see that the mouse pointer now has a plus sign on it. So just go up to the next wall that you want to select, or the next element that you want to select, and click that element. It's going to add it to the selection. If you want to remove an element from the selection, hold shift key. You're going to see a minus sign. Then click the element you want to remove and it's going to go off. So let me just hold CTRL again, plus sign, click the wall, go back to the properties panel, and then change the unconnected height to ceiling, and then move the mouse away. It's going to select it to the ceiling. So we now have part of our floor plan selected, the basic structure anyway. So the one thing that we're waiting for now is the half wall for the balcony. So I'm going to go back to the east elevation, and this is where we are. If I want the floor plan to be on one side, but I'm not really sure which side using the elevation is actually the correct side. So I'm just going to go back to the floor plan here, and we're going to choose a different type of wall. It's going to be the external wall. I'm going to use the external wall generic 200 masonry wall. So I'm going to select this wall. It's still going to follow the other pattern of unconnected by 600. That's okay. There's a reason why I want it to be like that. And for this, we're going to see that it's 2.1 meters from the wall. So I'm just going to click here and then move the mouse and go and type in 2. It's supposed to be 2.1, but because this wall is 200 and we're starting from the middle of the wall, I'm going to have to type in 2.2 to cover for that 200 that we brought in. And then we're going to move it up. By what distance upward? That is, oh, it says 9.5 meters square. So I'm not quite sure where that is going to stop. So I'm just going to go up now, and we're going to try and figure it out as we go along. I'm just going to stop at 4.8 and then click it this other way and accept the new wall. You can see that the masonry wall has a hatch line on it. Let's just move to the 3D view now. So you can see our masonry wall, it's really high above. So I'm just going to go to the east elevation now, and you can see where the masonry is. The masonry is on the other side of the wall. So if I had done it this way, it would have been wrong. So I'm just going to go to the north elevation now and see if we get that correctly. The north elevation would be good, but I want it to be on the other side. So let me just remove the north elevation and then go to south. Yes, so this is where I want it to be. It's going to be on the south. So what I want to do is ask my half wall to be about, let's say 250 millimeters. So I'm going to go to the level. Okay, instead of creating a new level, I'm actually going to copy the ground level. So I'm just going to click modify. Now you can see this ground level here. What I want to do is select the ground level now. We can use an offset tool. So now that the ground level is selected, we can look for the offset tool here in Autodesk Revit, or you can press OF on the keyboard. This is the offset tool. We're going to select this tool, and the offset has different options. You can choose a graphical offset, you can choose a numerical offset, and numerical is what we're going to use. We're going to offset it by 250 millimeters. It's going to create a copy, so the copy is checked. I'm just going to go to the ground floor here and try to pick the ground floor. Okay, I notice it's not working for the level, so I might have to do this manually. Instead of using the offset tool, I'm going to try the copy tool. So you can look for the copy tool. This is the copy, CO on the keyboard, or you can click copy. And for the copy tool, I can now select the ground floor. So what I want to do is to click this and click copy. It's going to ask us copy how many. I can choose to copy multiple items. I'm going to leave it on multiple. So you can head over to the floor plan, the ground floor now. You can see the option on the mouse. It shows an X once you're selecting the ground floor. I'm just going to click that and then move up by 250 millimeters and click OK. So we now have where the half wall is going to stop. I'm just going to click modify and then clear out of that, or you can press escape on the keyboard. So we now have our L4 level 4. I'm just going to click the zigzag line to break it down. It's actually the level 4 I want to break down. Let's undo that option. It's level 4 that I want to break, because I want level 4 to go down or to go slightly up like this. So this is going to be the half wall. Something I can do in Revit is to select this option and then come to this part here and uncheck this, because the ground floor is only going to be, because the half wall is only going to be on one side. So I can uncheck that option and come over here and select it and then turn the ground floor over here and then choose, just call it half wall and click OK. So this is where I want the half wall to be. So what we're going to do now is to select this wall. You can press tab on the keyboard to select all the walls connected to it. Once that's selected, we can change it from the top constraint here to half wall. Once that is in, you can see where it's going to stop. So you can go back to 3D and see the half wall that we have. This in 3D view, we have this cube that you can move around that can tell us north, south, east, or west, or top and front of the house and where you want to. You can also click the top vertex of the cube like this to get another view of the house. So what we want to do next is to create the floor. You can see from L1 architectural that we're almost done. So to create the floor, we can go over to the architecture tab again, and then you can see floor over here. So go ahead, if you click the down arrow, you see a structural floor, you're going to see an architectural floor, and you're also going to see the floor slab. I'm going to use an architectural floor now, and in the properties panel, we can choose different types of floor as well. Instead of using a generic floor, this time I'm going to use a wood joist with carpet finish. It's a 286 millimeter thick floor. So I'm just going to select this option, and just like walls, you can choose to use a line to create the boundary, or you can choose to draw by rectangles. For the floor, I'm going to choose a line. So as I select this line, the reason why I'm using line is because I'm going to avoid the toilet and the utility room. They're going to have a different floor. As you can see here, the bathroom and the utility room has a slightly similar floor to the rest of the house, but the bathroom has a different floor. So we're going to draw the floor for the rest of the house first. You can follow the endpoints. Where you see a square in Revit like this is where you have an endpoint. I'm just going to select this and try to avoid the bathroom floor, right? I'm just going to go up this way and then create this, follow it along like this, down to the endpoint and then to the endpoint. I'm avoiding the balcony because I'm going to use a different floor for the balcony. So I'm just going to click modify. Now that we have our floor in place, you can click the green tick here to finish the edit. And now we have our floor selected. In 3D, you can see the floor. It shows the carpet finish. In Revit, you can see the dot particles that represent the carpet. So next, we want to create the internal floor for the bathroom. So I'm just going to click floor. For the bathroom, I'm going to have to change the material of the carpet finish from a carpet to a tile material in Revit. You can also do that by using the edit type. And when you go over to edit type, instead of replacing the carpet finish, I'm going to choose to duplicate. And instead of carpet, I'm going to change this option from carpet to tile. I can remove this number 2. Okay, let's just call it bath tile. And click OK. So everything is going to be the same except the carpet finish. On the structure of the floor, I'm just going to click edit. And then you can see carpet finish number 1. This is showing you the structure of all the elements inside the floor. So the finish is the top layer, 3.0 millimeter thickness. You have a plywood sheathing. You also have a wood rafter and everything. But because of the bathroom floor, I don't think I want to use wood for that side. So I'm going to change this plywood to a level of cement or concrete or something like that. So if you click the 3 dots there, it's going to take you to the materials tab, and I'm going to change from the wood to a strong carpet, or to a strong concrete. Let's put it like that. So you can see concrete masonry here, CMU split face. I'm going to use concrete cast in place, and just go ahead and click OK. I'm also going to change the carpet finish now, which is why we came here in the first place. We're going to look for tile. I can scroll down in Revit like this and find where the tile is after steel. So we can see tile mosaic gray. I can go ahead and select tiles just for the bathroom, and then we can have that in there. You can also choose to import your own materials if you want, or create your own materials. I'm just going to pick tile mosaic gray and then click OK. So now we have our tile for the finish of the bathroom floor, and then we're also going to change the material for the wood that is under the concrete to another concrete material. We can go ahead and find concrete cast in place gray and then click OK. So those two are going to be the same, and that's what we're going to have. So just for now, you can go ahead and click OK. That's how you can change the material inside the building. That's how you can change the material inside the floor for Revit, or choose to design any floor that you want. And then I'm going to use a rectangle for this one. I'm going to draw the bathroom tile now. And here we go. Just in place, and then go ahead and click the green tick. And now we have a different floor for the bathroom, and we have a different floor for the rest of the house. For the outside floor, I'm going to use something similar to the bathroom, but this time I'm going to change the tiles to something else. So instead of bath tile, we're going to use a different finish here. We're going to say ground, or let's say outside, exterior ground finish. I'm going to remove the number and then click OK. So I'm going to change this from tile mosaic gray to something else. If they have something cool like masonry, we can actually go ahead and search. So the CMU masonry unit or concrete masonry unit also have cementitious backer board. I'm going to use this CMU split face masonry. Let's go ahead and click OK. I just want it to be different from the bathroom tile. Go ahead and click OK. So we've mistakenly changed that of the bathroom. So I'm just going to change this back to wood bath tile. And then we're going to create a new floor. And for the new floor, oops, Revit has asked me to save. I wasn't actually saving all this well. Exercise floor. Okay, we're back. For the new floor, we're going to choose the exterior ground finish, and then we're going to go to the balcony. I'm going to use a rectangle again, select the end. Oh, this one is not actually allowing us to get to the end point. So let's use this, go to the end point here and draw it like this and click end. So go back and click the green tick to finish, and then we have a different floor there. So this is what it looks like. You can see the floor outside, and we could also see the building in here. So most of what is left for us now is the components inside the building, the doors and the windows. We'll start with the doors, and first you're going to go ahead and click the door option under the architecture tab, and in the door you can see we have a single door passage. You can see other types of doors inside of Revit. There's a double passage here, 1/8 by 200. Remember the lintel height that we have is 2100, so I'm going to use the 1/8 by 2100 here, and we're going to go to our wall, find where the entrance is, where the entrance to the balcony is, and then we're going to pick one here like this and click OK. So there goes our balcony door. The next is to create the hallway door that is over here. It's going to be a lot smaller and it's a single door. So we can choose the hallway door 2 by 100, let's say 900. So that's a single passage. You can come over here and it's opening on this other side, it's swinging inside like this. So let's go ahead and click OK. And then we have our doors. Now you notice that the door is not cutting through the wall, and there's an easy way to fix this. You just have to go to the architecture plan in the properties panel, scroll down a bit to where you have view range, and then click edit, and you see that our view range is set to a cut plane of 2600. You also have the top and the bottom here, and all you have to do is change this value to a value lower than 2100, which is our lintel height for the door and windows. So I'm just going to click 2000. Okay, instead of 2100, let's say 1500 or 1700, and then we can go ahead and click apply and click OK. Now we can see the cut of that door and window of those two doors. Now we can go ahead and add the other doors inside the building. I'm going to choose a different type of door now. Oops, what did I touch? Architecture door. Okay, so we have a 750 for 2-1. This is going to be for the toilet. I can come over here. Where is it swinging? It's swinging inside this way. So I'm just going to stand here and tick. So there we have that window. We also have a different door over here. Sorry, I said window. This door is opening this way. So there we have it. The last one to do now is the doors for the bedroom. So I'm just going to go back to the 900. I think that's the one I'm going to use. And over here, where is it swinging? It's swinging this side. Okay, so this, there we have the door for the bedroom. So now that the bedroom is in place, the next thing to do is to put the windows. There are two windows here. If you look at the floor plan, we have two windows on this side, two huge windows. There's another huge window near the kitchen area and the dining. There's one huge window by the bedroom over here. But I noticed that the bathroom doesn't have a window, so that's something I'm going to add. And the utility room as well doesn't have a window, so that's something I'm going to add. I don't know why the floor plan didn't come with a window. That's on them. It's just my personal preferences. So I'm going to do this now. So for the window, just like doors, you can select different type of windows, but you're not limited to this particular windows. You can import some windows from the Revit library. So I'm just going, this is one that we have here. You can go over to the insert tab, or you can see modify, go to the modify place window tab. You can see load family. So we're going to load a component. Remember at the beginning of the video, I told you that you can create components, which is like creating individual elements inside of Revit and not just the building. So I'm just going to go up one level. We are Imperial English. I have to find my library for, under the library, you can find English metric. Let's use US. Okay. Revit libraries, English, US, Windows, and we can go and look for one of the windows that could obviously fit in here. So I need a straight window. I'm just going to select this casement and load this into the project, and we're going to modify that window to fit all the styles that we want. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. This is importing from Revit 2022. So now that we have our windows imported, we can go over looking for them. So we have a casement window here. There's one for 1400 by 1800. This is a big window. So we can start with this and see how it looks inside our building. So we can just zoom out and come over here. Not as big as I want it to be, so we're going to find something else. So there's 900 by, okay, we're going to stick with this 1800 by 1400. but we're going to change the dimensions inside this model. So I'm just going to go over to edit type, and we're going to duplicate it and say window 1 or window large, just to identify what we're trying to do. So the width of the window should be a lot bigger than 1400. So we're going to try 1800 for the width, but the height being 1800 is big for a window. So we're going to choose a different window height here, perhaps 1000 or 900 instead for the height. And we can use this and then go over and click OK. That's our window large. So this looks better. We can use this. And let's just take a reference from our wall. Okay. Use this 800 from this side. We're going to choose it's 520 from this side. So we're going to have to move this other window a bit. Let's say 600 over here. I'll have you be 600 from this other end. So that looks okay. And the next thing we're going to do is to put the other window on the other side. These windows are a lot bigger than the one that we're using. So let's go ahead and select a window large, put it on this side. There we go. That's for the dining area. And now we're going to have to include one for the bedroom as well. And then the next thing to include is the utility window, which did not exist in the original plan. So 600 by 1100 seems okay. Let's try windows fixed 600 by 900. Since it's a small window, let's just go with that for now. One for the utility room, one for the bathroom. For the utility room, I think I'm going to put 2 windows over here. And we can see in 3D what these windows actually look like. So there's the small windows for the utility room, one for the bathroom. The bathroom is on this other side. And then we have the 2 huge windows for the living room and the dining area. The bedroom has 1 window, and I'm not sure that's really good, to be honest. It has to be cross ventilation. So I'm going to have to choose a smaller window for the other side of the building or the other side of the bedroom. So let's just pick something. We have window large. We can use the 1000, or let's use the same window large over here and just add it into the building because we need cross ventilation. Logically, I can't imagine having only 1 window inside a room. So that's why I'm going about adding the other one. So the next thing we're going to include is the component, which is all the elements inside the building, all the furniture and the bed and the beds for the bedroom. So you can use the properties panel to find which furniture you want to bring into the building. In case you do not see any furniture, you can still load them in from the project browser like you do like this. Go over to the load family and then go over to furniture. And under furniture, I'll start with beds is the first one here. We can choose the first bed and then load it into the project. Once we have that in there, we can use the spacebar key to rotate the bed like this. Press the spacebar key and then you can just drop the bed inside the building like that. Now we have our bed in place. The next is the cupboard that is beside the bed. So we can go and bring that one in as well. This is a storage unit. So there's a cabinet file drawer here, a bigger cabinet file drawer. They also have a credenza, a dresser. So that can be inside the bedroom. So we can open this, bring it into the project, press the spacebar key again to rotate it and then drop it in there. So next we have utility room. I think the cabinet we found before, I think there's a cabinet here that fits into the utility room. So I just have to find it. There's a base cabinet here, double sink. Let's pick the 600 one instead of the 1000. So for the utility room, that can be here. There's also one down here and one down here. Let's try and eyeball this. Okay, so there's 2 here. There's another circular item. I don't know what that is, but there's a sink inside the utility room as well. So you can go about loading a sink. We're going to need the sink for the bathroom too. So under furniture, you can see Okay, we can't find sink in here. We're going to have to go out from the furniture to the plumbing category, and under architecture you can see fixtures. Under fixtures you're going to see bathtub and sinks. We'll start with the sink because we need that for utility room. Let's get the preview. There's a double sink here. There's a sink island. There's a single sink for the kitchen. These are all kitchen sinks. There's a vanity round one and vanity square. I'm going to use the vanity sink, load that into the project, and then over here we can add that sink for the utility room. And we're going to go back to sinks and then choose one kitchen sink, single, bring it in. Okay, there's already one inside the building, inside the model that we have, so that's okay. So we're just going to move to the kitchen side and look for the kitchen sink. So there's a kitchen sink here, 700 by 535. Let's pick this one. Try to figure out where the sink is over here. It looks like it's on this side of the wall, so we're going to just use the spacebar key to put the kitchen sink over here. That makes sense because the bathroom sink is going to be on the other side. So you can scroll down and find the bathroom sink. Let's just add one for the bathroom. You can then zoom out to be sure that's where the sink is supposed to be. No, that's not where it's supposed to be. You can select this and move it manually. So just use the move tool and then click one area here and move it to this other side. So you have the sink on that side. The next thing we want to add is to add the shower. There's a shower over here. You can see the shower. We can also use the same method and go to architecture and then load the shower in. So we can go over to the modify tab. So we can go to the component and then load the family. We want to load a shower into place. So you can see showers also in Revit. There's a shower stall in here, but this one is not shaped the way we have it in the floor plan. So I'm just going to go back to where we are. This is US. I'm going to select the UK version and go over to plumbing and architecture and fixtures and showers. And in the UK version, we have different types of showers, and the one that we're looking for is also here. We can see the shower tray beveled. I'm just going to load that option in, and just like the others, we can use the spacebar key to rotate this one. If the spacebar doesn't rotate, we're going to have to manually rotate it. So I'm just going to drop the shower in there. I'm going to click modify and then select this again and then use the rotate command. You can see just beside the copy, select rotate and then click from here and rotate it 180 degrees. Now we have it in the correct place. So we can just move this and take it to this end here. So that's our shower in place. The next thing that we want to look at in the floor plan is a toilet. That should be fairly easy. Same method. Go to the architecture tab, component, load in place. Instead of showers, we're looking for water closets now, and then just go down. There's wall hung. The one I'm looking for is just a simple cistern. Okay, that's just good. We can use this one and then click this and have the toilet over here. So the toilet, the two sinks, and the shower, everybody is kind of connected in the same space. I do love the idea behind that. So I've used the same method of adding components to add the kitchen and the dining area and also the living room, and that just saves us a bit of time, so the video won't be excessively long. And the next thing we want to do is to add some color to this. And in Revit, usually I've been using the hidden line option. That's just white plain background. It's easier to work with, but you can change it to the shaded version, and that shows you the material color. So you can see outside we have a sort of masonry material. The wood inside the building is showing in an orange vibe, and then we also have the tile floors for the bathroom, and then of course the living room and the utility room have the same type of material. So you can see that it's very similar here to what we're having. All that is left for us to do now is to add the text that says the living room and the dimensions of every other place. So the next thing to do there is we actually want to split this building into rooms so we can label them. So you can use the room separator over here, or you can just use the room, but we'll start with the room first. We're going to just click room, and then first of all we're going to put a name for this bedroom. Just going to drop it in here. That's room number 1. So we can use the modify tab and then select this, double click, and just call this bedroom. And we can actually take this off, use edit type, and remove the room number and show the area, because that's what the floor plan actually shows, right? So we're going to click apply and click OK. So we can see 10 meters. Oops. So for this other room, it's 9.7 meters square. So very accurate, right? So this 10 meters square, this is 9.7 meters square. Almost accurate. So the next thing we want to do is to use the room. Where is it? Architecture. And again, room. And you can see the utility room. We're going to have to put that in there. 6 meters square. And this one is 5.1. So our utility room might be slightly bigger than the original one. So call this utility room. And something we can do is to change the font type and font size so it actually comes into the room the way it's supposed to be. I can go over to edit type here and try to change this from this place, but you can't really do it from here. This is slightly more advanced. But what you want to do is to select the label of the room and then go to edit family in here. And it's going to take us to the family that is for that room. So you can now select it and then choose the edit type from here and it's going to work. So because it's a family, we can't really do it inside of Revit. We have to do it inside the family space. So we have to go over to edit type and then we can see that the text size is about about 3 meters. So I can make it 1.00 and just put it there. Tab size, it's about 12. So we can just make this 7.5. Hopefully it's not going to be too small. We can also change the font type. And there's a Verdania font over here. I can use that and click apply, click OK. So this is what it's going to look like. And looking at it now, I'm not really a fan of the Verdania. I'm going to bring back the trebuchet fonts that we saw before. So in case you have an architecture font or an architecture handwriting font, you can use that. I'm not sure I have any of those. There's Segue script, but not really going to be a fan of that. So we're just going to use one that is clear and visible, and it's very important that you use a font that is clear and visible for your presentations. So this what we're going to use is going to be the same font. So we're going to load into Revit and close. All we did was to change the font size. So in this place, do not click yes. I tried to do that. It's going to try and edit the original one and I don't want that. So just click no and it's going to load it into the project, override the existing one inside the project, yes. So we can see the utility room now. It's quite small, so we might have to go back and change it again. Just edit this family and select this one and edit type. Make this about 2.00 instead of 1.5. Tab size, make that 10. And okay, so load into projects, no. Overwrite this one, yes. So this is perfect. We can work with this. And the next is just go continue doing the rooms. And for the sake of color, I'm going to actually turn on the background if there is a background. We can't really do that here. So we're going to try the edit family again and see if it's possible to turn on a background. So we just select the font and then choose edit type. Is it possible? Okay, we have a background here and it says transparent. So what we want is an opaque background. Color should be show the border, no, but I want the color to be white. But let's just try this first. Click OK. Load into the project now and overwrite existing. Okay, so it now shows us this background. So that's useful. And that's the way you can go about presenting your project. So the next is to actually continue doing the rooms now. And I'm going to use the room for the bathroom. This one I might want to rotate. I'm just going to select it like this. Okay, that's not going to work. Okay, we can just drop it over here. And next room, but you're going to see that we can then go and name this and call it bathroom. But once we get to the living room, that's where we're going to have a problem, because if I select the room and then choose the living room, it doesn't divide the dining area from the kitchen area. And you know, that's not what we want. Even the hallway is going to be affected. So what we want to do in this case is to use a room separator. I'm just going to select the room separator tool. And the first place we're going to divide is this room here. So I'm just going to use this endpoint over to here. Click that and hold on. That should be all. So we can now apply the room to the hallway. Let me just press space bar to make this there. So hallway. We can see that the distance between the hallway and the area of the hallway is very far from itself. So I'm going to have to edit this as well. And we can go back to the inside the family and select this and edit the type. We can actually try to manually move the area above where the room number is supposed to be and then load that into project and obviously see if that's going to help us. So overwriting that, and yeah, we can see it in here, but we can also see that the room number is still popping up. So we can select one of these options here, edit the type, and then uncheck the room number and click OK. So now we have the area a lot closer to where it's supposed to be, and that might be helpful. So next is to go over and continue the room separator for the kitchen and the living area. So we're going to just draw a line here. Okay, that's too small. I'm just going to manually do it from here to here. So that's where I want it to be. You notice that my lines are really thick, but if you don't like the thick lines in Autodesk Revit, you can use the thin and thick lines option over here and just select thin lines, and it's going to show you thin lines. But for me, I prefer working with thick lines for now, just to define where the external wall is and where the internal wall is. So I'm going to turn it back on, and then now that we have our separated dining area and living area, we can select a room and then pick one in here, drop it in here, pick another one here, and then drop it in there. So over for this one, let's call this the living room. I bet they called it living area over here. Oh, living room, that's good. 22 meters square. Here is 21.6 meters square. So the kitchen and the dining area is 14.8 meters square. Here is 17, which is, I think, okay. So we're going to call this kitchen slash dining area. There we go. Have those two where they're supposed to be. I think it was better on the other side. So last but not the least is the balcony. And for this one, just go ahead and select room, drop it in here and call it balcony. So there we go. And we've almost recreated the floor plan already. So all that is left for us to do now is the dimensions. And that's very easy. You need to go to the Annotate tab or the Annotate menu in Autodesk Revit. And then under Annotate, you're going to see different types of dimensions and also detailed components and regions and elevations. Everything you need to actually put an annotation or a description in your drawing inside of Revit is inside the Annotate tab. So we're going to start with dimensions. We'll use align dimensions for this one. And okay, so you can, with align dimensions, you can go from wall to wall. And what I'm going to do is to go from this end of the wall to this end of the wall. Or is that even smart? Okay, it's from one end of the wall to the, where is this guy going from? From the first end of the wall here to the middle of this other wall. So I don't know why that is, but we'll try that option. What does it say? 2.3. So what I did was the inside face to the inside face. So let's try that. Inside face to inside face. It's 2000. Okay, remember okay, hold on. 2000 inside face to inside face. We want this to be 2100, right? So we're going to select this. And okay, not that. We're going to select this side of the wall. You can see that it's 2000. We're going to type in 2100 here for the dimension. And there we go. So we've been able to use the dimension to change the space of this wall to the correct space that it's supposed to be. So 5440 is next. So align dimensions again. We're going to use inside face to inside face. What we have here is 5590. No wonder it's a lot bigger. So the next one we're going to do, oh, I didn't measure it well. I am so sorry. It's inside face to inside face. Okay, that's better. That's correct. The next one now is this side to this side. That's 3610. Oh, that is perfect. So the next side is this one to this one. Okay, we now have 1.2 to 1.2 next. Inside face to inside face. 1.2. 2.83 is next. So that's how you go about using align dimensions to actually align your building. It's looking good. Next is the utility. You can actually do this in a chain. So what was going to happen, do this like this, and then keep going. And of course, we need to separate the kitchen. Kitchen is 2.4, and I noticed that I didn't draw the kitchen correctly. So the kitchen and the dining area is separate in a way. So we've missed a step there. What I would like to do now is to create a marking that says this is where the kitchen starts from, 2.62. So I'm going to just go to the modify tab, and from this line, I'm going to use a detail line to divide this part, a detail line that is 2.620 meters long. And on that detail line, we are going to do an align dimension. So, okay, I don't think I drew the detail line from the correct place. It's supposed to be from the inside face of the kitchen. So from this place, 2.600, 2.62, sorry. So we can select this line, 2.620. Just to make it perfect. And then we're going to use the align dimension to align the inside face of this to this end. And 2.61 is supposed to be 2.62. So we're going to just go about selecting this again, make this 2.620. This is correct. So I can now go ahead and do another align dimension from this point, from this end to this other side of the wall, 2.82, and now we can delete the detail line. So that is a very, now we can go ahead and delete our detail line. Oops, the detail line went ahead. Oh my goodness. So we do need the detail line to be there. So we'll have to do this again. So we can use the model line instead. I think the model line is what allows us to actually go about deleting something when we're done. So I'm going to use a model line. It's green, it's 2620. Select that option in there, and we're going to now annotate the model line instead of the detail line. So from this end, use the align dimension from this end to the model line like this. That's 2.692. We can then change that to 2620. We can do the same and use the align dimension and go all this way to this end and this end. So hopefully this doesn't disappear as well. So you can select this the model line and then delete. Oops, it also goes. So that's not very nice. So if it keeps deleting, I'm just going to leave it the way it is and then ignore the model line down there. And the next is to look for the other, dimension. So we see that it's 2.83 from the inside of this wall to where the door actually starts from. So we can go about aligning that dimension as well. So you can select this, and to where the door starts from is about 3. So it's slightly bigger than ours. Our building is slightly bigger than the one that we're working with. And from that point to where the door starts from, it's about 4.08. So this should be 4.08. The door we can actually move the door to get it to where it's supposed to be. So just go ahead and select this. And we're going to type 3.0. 2.83. Well, I'm going to use the reference of this one to 4.08, 4.080. So there goes our door, and we can leave the other dimension to be like that, because I noticed the building might become too small if we just obey what we see on that side. So that is how you can go about creating a floor plan in Revit and also annotate the floor plan the way it's supposed to be. And that brings an end to this video. If you did find it useful, or if you have any other additional questions about Revit or anything I spoke about that you didn't quite understand, you can let me know in the comment section and I'll try to address those comments in a later video, or even just reply to the comments like that directly. So thanks for watching and sticking around for this long. I do hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.